My name is Dana Harris, and I'm kind of weird. I have this problem. I really like math. I like doing math, and at times like this, when it's like after midnight, I happen to start recording math videos because I want to help everybody around the world realize that math is still pretty cool. Yeah, I'm trying to make math cool again. And we're continuing to talk about fourth grade fractions. In this particular example, we're going to talk about multiplying a whole number by a fraction that's not a unit fraction. So let's go ahead and get right into the math. This time I think I'll use blue. All these black markers, you probably get tired of seeing black markers. So let's say we have this example. Let's say if we have 4 times 2/3, okay? We have to expand the fractions here. So this is 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Now remember, the reason why we are expanding it is because when we go back to the basics of addition and multiplication, remember, multiplication is a way of shortening addition. So if I multiply 4 times 2/3, that means I have the fraction 2/3 4 times, okay? And when I do that, if I count up the twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, okay? So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, because they have the same denominator, it's actually 8/3, okay? So 4 times 2/3, we have the expanded version, it equals 8/3. Now the 8/3 is the same thing as, we can write it as 8 times 1/3, okay? So it looks different, but it all has the same value. So parents, your kids are not going crazy when they come home and say, oh, that's not how we do it. You're gonna get the same answer, but that's one of the things I actually love about math, because every child learns different. Most people think different, and I'm not really a copycat. I don't always want to have the same thing that my neighbor has on my paper. So anyway, here's the first example of this. Now let's go ahead and get visual with it. So let's say if we have and as always, we're going to pretend that these are all the same size. And I know that they're not, so I'm going to kind of erase the bottom right there so I can make them look as close to the same size as possible. All right, so thirds. This is kind of wide, but we're going to pretend these are all thirds. So 2/3, okay? So let's shade in 2 of them. All right? So 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, okay? And if I actually add these up, I have 2/3, 2 more is 4, 6, 8, okay? So that gives me, okay, so 4 times 2/3, okay? And actually that would give me a total of 8/3, which is the same thing as 8 times 1/3, okay? It is the same. So if I have 4 times 2/3, it's the same thing as having 8 times 1/3. Now notice, one thing you'll see is 4 times 2 is actually 8. Okay, it's working. Hopefully you're understanding it. But that is how we show just another representation of when we take a whole number and multiply it by a fraction. So parents, know your kids are not going crazy. They're probably upset just like you are. But by the time they finish watching these videos, I think they'll have the solution to their fraction problems, at least. Young Gurus Math Tutoring, I've got the solution to your math problems.